Hello, everyone. Today is Thursday. Actually, it's not Thursday. Today is Saturday, May 2nd, 2026. This is Dr. Eugenia with Transformation Talks. I know we usually don't meet on Saturdays, but this is just, by the way, an extra request that I have received from many people. So I figured let me do it on a Saturday so people that are outside of the United States can also join us. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're joining us from. And we are grateful to have you on today. We thank God for your lives. We thank God for good health and giving you the ability to join us. So we cannot take that for granted. So we thank God for that. Transformation Talks, we're here to discuss important topics. We're here to empower each other, to uplift, and to encourage all of us to do well in life. So we talk about different topics. I know we've been talking about health topics, we're talking about financial, and today it has been, another day where we're going to talk about working for ourselves versus working for somebody. So it's a question that comes up a lot. And as you all know, I work for myself. I have multiple businesses. So I hear a lot of people asking me, okay, how do I do the same thing? How do I start my own business? So hopefully this topic will clear some of the misunderstanding and some of the questions that we have concerning working for ourselves or working for somebody. It will answer some of the questions for us. But if you need more information, please, don't hesitate to look us up on my website, www.dreugeniacatano.net. You can also send me a message, 443-623-6080, WhatsApp or regular message, or you can email me, Dr. Eugenia Catano at gmail.com. We're here to answer any questions for you. We're here to work together. So today is going to be more of an interactive session because a lot of times we talk, but we don't allow the audience time to actually ask their questions or add some contribution to what we're talking about. So today is a little bit laid back. So please don't be shy, feel comfortable and share whatever you need to share. If you have questions about working for yourself or working for somebody, this is a good platform to talk about that. And if you're already doing something, you can also share what you're doing, what is working, how you got into it, how it's going. So we can also learn from you because, hey, knowledge is shared across the board. It may be something that I don't know or something that somebody else may benefit from. So please, I'm going to talk for just like 5-10 minutes and then open the floor for people to ask questions. Okay. So today, the topic we're talking about is working for someone versus working for yourself. So we all know what is going on in the world, what is going on both in United States and many other countries. When it comes to working, we all have the ability to work. We all went to school for something, or we learned some trade to make more money. At the end of the day, it's about success. Are we successful? Do we have everything we need to live life to the fullest? Sometimes people say, I just need enough to get by. It's okay. You just need enough to get by. But what if that enough is not enough anymore? And a lot of things can happen where that enough cannot be enough anymore. It could be relocation. Now you're in a state or a town that is more expensive than where you're moving from. It could be family. Now you have family versus when it was just you. It could be illness. Now you have some conditions that would not allow you to do the things that you used to do. Sometimes it could even be adding more to your plate, or you just want to do some extra humanitarian work. You want to volunteer, you want to give back, but you don't have that extra money or extra funds to do that. So at that point, then the enough is not enough anymore. So today we're going to talk about ways that we can make that enough continue to be enough for us, even when we go through changes in life. Okay. Or maybe you used to have two income, but now you're stuck to one income for whatever reason, death, unemployment, divorce, anything. So just know things happens in life. Things happens. Unexpected things happens in life. And even though you can say it's never going to be me or it will never happen to me, trust me, it's not anybody's wish that something bad happens to them. So today we'll talk about the difference between working for yourself and working for someone. So how do you make that decision? Everyone must decide, do I build someone else's dream or do I build my own vision? Because in everything that you do, you need to have a why. So the main thing is, do I build someone else's dream or do I build my own vision? So if I'm going to build somebody else's dream, that's fine. You put your energy into that person's dream. If you want to build your own vision, first of all, you need to have a vision so then you can have something to build on. Both paths can lead to success, but they both require different mindsets, different risk, and different disciplines. Okay. For instance, definition of working for someone is employment. Okay. You provide skills, you provide services in exchange for a salary or a wage. Even people in the Bible did that. They work for somebody for exchange for something. Even Jacob did it. All right. You get salary or you get some wages or you get something else in return. There's a structure. The environment is well structured with defined rules. When you know you have to be at work at 9 o'clock, you're supposed to be there at 9 o'clock. If you get at 9:30, you get in trouble because there is a structure and you have to follow that structure. That is employment. Working for yourself, that's entrepreneurship, self-employed. Okay. You own and you control your work, your environment, your business. The income you make, it depends on value you create and the systems you build. So you may make more income or less income. It all depends on you. How much is enough for you? I mean, I can go to work once a day or once a week and I'm okay for the month. Or I can go to work 3 days out of the week. It's good for me. So you as a self-employed person, you can control your income based on the value you create and the systems you build. Okay. Advantages of working for someone is stable income. Every other Friday, direct deposit, there's money in your account. It's predictable. Your paycheck is predictable. I mean, you can plan for 3 months from now, because you know every 2 weeks there'll be money in your accounts. It's easier to have a financial planning if you work for somebody, because you know whether business was good or not, you are going to get your paycheck. Okay. So let's say, for instance, an IT person that's working for a company, a contractor, or a government employee. Every 2 weeks your salary is set. If you're taking home 5,000, every other Friday is 5,000, so you can plan better for the future. Okay, there is a cash flow every 2 weeks. Lower risk. Employer can absorb business losses. You don't have to worry about it. So you can go sit in an office all day and didn't make any sales. At the end of the 2 weeks, you still get paid. The only side of that one is, eventually, if the employer is not making any good investment out of you, they may get rid of you. So initially, okay, I only saw 2 clients or 2 customers today. It's fine. You just goofing around the rest of the day. Friday, you still get your paycheck, right? But eventually, employer is also waiting to make some profit, because at the end of the month they have to pay all the overhead costs, the rent, the utility bills, the insurance, and all that. So if you're not bringing income in, chances are they're not going to keep you much longer. Okay. There's no startup capital required. If you work for somebody, the job is already there, they need somebody to do it. You don't have to worry about, oh, I need money to start a business, I just need to show up. Whether the bills are paid or not, it doesn't matter. You just show up. Benefits and security. Health insurance, retirement planning, paid leave is part of your benefit for most employees. So your employer provides you health insurance, retirement planning, you take a vacation. Some people get 2 weeks, some people get 4 weeks vacation, sick leave. It's all included. So if you work for somebody, you're entitled to some of this benefit depending on the employer and your status with the company. Okay. Structure environment. There's clear expectation and job description. If your work is from 9 to 5, it's 9 to 5. You don't need to be there at 8:30. You don't need to stay after 5, because your job is from 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. So you can choose to say, hey, it's 5:01, even though there are people sitting there waiting. I don't have to see them, because in your job description, it says 9 to 5. Okay. Training. You get training, you get mentorship, you get somebody to help you get comfortable with the job. Okay. So that's you working for somebody. Work-life separation. You clock in at 5, you clock out at, you clock in at 8, you clock out at 4, or vice versa, or whatever. If you were night shift, you clock in, you clock out. You don't come home with your job. So you feel like, okay, it's 8 p.m., I'm home spending time with my family. I don't have to worry about work. Okay. So what are some of the disadvantages of working for someone? Limited income potential. So no matter how much money you're making, could you make more money? Or this is the highest. There's a salary cap. So if everybody's making 50,000 a year, chances are you are going to make 50,000 a year. If you work really hard, you earn some recognition or get a raise. It depends on your management decisions, or your employer deciding whether they want to give you a raise. It could be 2%, 3%. It is a raise, regardless of what the business is making. Sometimes you may get a little bit bonus because you have brought more money into the business. And so you're stuck with you getting limited income. Okay. Lack of control. You follow company's vision, not yours. So if you work for someone and you go in there trying to tell them what to do or how to run their business, it doesn't work that way, because it's their business, it's their vision, it's their dream that they're trying to grow. So you cannot go there and tell them how to run their business. If not, you can lose that job. Okay. So when it's time for any company changes or anything they want to do, you're not part of it. Even though you're the main employee there, the head management or the big people, the board makes decision for you. Okay. Again, that's a disadvantage. Job security, insecurity. We all know about all the layoffs, people being kicked out of their job because your job is never secured. No matter what you're doing, no matter how long you've been working there, you could be on the same company for the last 20, 30 years. They can lay you off. There may be restructuring of the company, and that could take away your position where there's nothing they can do. Okay, economic downturns. If they decide to file bankruptcy or close down the business, you lose that job, especially if that's the only job you've done the last 20 years and you're just getting ready to retire and live your own life. Now they don't need you. It's hard to go back trying to find a position that will give you the same level of expertise because one, some people may say you are overqualified, so they can pay you what the other company is paying you. So that means you have to start from scratch again. You lose your seniority, you lose all the benefits because the other company may not have the same benefits. You may have to drive longer to go to work. Okay. Innovation, you cannot make any decisions in terms of creativity or what you think can help the company. Innovation may be restricted by policies. Or sometimes, if you have to do something else on the side, there may be conflict of interest. So you're not able to do the same job that you're doing here for another company. Okay. Now, let's talk about working for ourselves because that's what a lot of people want to hear. Okay. So, advantages of working for yourself: unlimited income potential. There's no ceiling on earnings, there's no cap on it. You are your own boss. You put in more work, you make more money. Okay. So, let's say, again, IT person that want to start their own contracts business, they can decide how fast they want to grow, how much work they want to put into it. Okay. Another advantage is freedom and flexibility. You set your own hours, you make your own schedule, choose your own clients and projects because you're in control, you're the boss, and you can make those decisions. Ownership and legacy, you build an asset that can be sold or passed on. It can be something that you're building on. A couple of years later, you start making a lot of money, you sell it, and then you go back, use the money, get another business, run it a little bit, you sell it. So you're making profit just by being the owner of that business. Okay. Or you can say, I'm going to keep this business and pass it on to the next generation. So you run the business for, let's say, 5, 6, 10, 20 years, pass it on to your children, your children's children, or people that you know can continue the business and you can just have a share in that. So that's the assets that you're building in your own business, on your own field. Okay. Creative control. You make all the decision, the innovative, the pivoted, decisions that need to go into any business because you have the vision. You see the future of that business. So if something is going one way and you don't like it, you can change it. You say, no, I don't like the way we treat people. Okay, so let's change the policy. Or I don't like the way the building looks. Let's change the colors. You have control over all that if you own your own thing. Personal fulfillment, direct alignment with your purpose and your vision. Is it what you really wanted to do? Is it what you went to school for? Is it what the Lord is calling you into? Because sometimes we do things just because it's a job that is available versus I'm doing this because it's aligned with my calling or it's aligned with what I really want to do in life. That makes me very fulfilled. Okay. Well, what are some of the disadvantages of working for yourself? There's a financial instability. Okay. Income is irregular. So you don't know when you're going to make $10,000. It could take 1 week, it could take 1 year. So your income is not consistent, especially when you start. Now, people say you need 3 years to break even in your business. So within that 3 years, what are you going to be doing whilst you're waiting to break even? So your income is inconsistent, high responsibility. Well, now you're the CEO of your business, you're the marketer, you're the accountant, you're the problem solver, you're the janitor, you're pretty much everything in the business. Okay. Are you ready to take on all those responsibility? I've also seen people help other people start their business and they had to play all this role, but you're playing that role for somebody else's business. I remember many, many years ago, I was working at the daycare center and the owner decided to open another location. So pretty much I have to start that location from scratch till we started having the kids in the building. So I'm doing the same thing that I would have done for myself, but I'm doing it for somebody else. So we were able to open a second daycare center that I was the one responsible for everything from beginning to end. Okay. So again, that's something that if it was my own, then I'm putting all that effort and energy in mine, but now it's for somebody else. Okay, startup costs and risk, investment requirements. So when you have your own thing going, you have to have money to start up. Okay, and there is a risk that you're taking. What if it doesn't go well? What if it's not the right business? What if at the end of the year you're losing more money? You get discouraged. Do I keep it going or do I stop? Okay, there is no guarantee of success. Okay. Long hours initially. Building a business often requires sacrifice. I've been in business for many, many years. I'm still sacrificing. The number of times where we'll even be on vacation, my children will say, okay, we're on vacation, turn the phone off. Okay. So there is that long hours or putting in more work, even if you're supposed to be off. Okay. Isolation, sometimes there's lack of team support, which can be challenging. So it could be something that you're really, really good at, but you lack the support of the other people that could have been helping you to build that business. It could be because they don't have the time. It could be because they are jealous of you. It's because they don't really see your vision, so they don't want to invest time into it. So there's so many reasons why you can lack the support from other people, and which can be, as I told you, it can be very challenging, but there's always ways around it. So, key comparison: income, employment is fixed, self employed is variable, it's unlimited. Risk: working for somebody, the risk is very low. Working for yourself, risk can be high. Control: employment, you are limited. Self employed, you have full control over whatever you're doing. Security: for employment, it's moderate. For self-employed, it's self-created. So whatever you put into it, that's what you get back. Growth: in an employment, there's a structure. So it's structured growth. For self-employed, it's self-driven. So you have control over your growth. Okay. So which one is better? And I know that's what you guys are asking right now, or you're thinking, which one is better? In my opinion, they are both good. Why can't we have both? Why can we work for somebody and still work for ourselves until we are ready to work for ourselves fully? Okay. So the hybrid approach is a smart strategy. No matter where you are, no matter who you are, even you can choose and say, hey, I don't like business. I don't like working for myself. I don't like the responsibility. Your money can still work for you. You can be a passive investor. I've mentioned this in my past podcast. You can be a passive investor where your money is the one doing the business for you, not you physically doing it. So, how do you integrate the hybrid approach to your current life? You start where you are, build where you want to go. Start where you are, and then build where you want to go. We all have somewhere that we want to be. Okay, so you start by keeping your job while building your business. I had a client the other day that I was talking to. She's worked for the government for like 15 years, and they got rid of her like somewhere in December, right before Christmas. Okay, she thought she was going to be there till she retired because she liked what she does, and you know, people are nice. She's making enough money to keep herself going, but not thinking about extra money in case this job goes away because she thought she would never lose that job. Right before Christmas, she lost that job. She's still home. So now she's spending all her savings, her retirement money since December till now. Okay. But if I have told you, take that money to start a business, and then 3, 4, 6 months from now, that money can yield more money. And then you go put back the money that you took out of your savings or out of your investment back. You say, no, 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 there'll be penalties, so I'm not going to do it. I can't touch it. I have to leave that to retirement. But when things happens, you go and dip into it. When you get sick or you go down to one person, working in the family, you dip into that money. But to take it to start a business, you don't want to do it. So just think through it. What are some of the things that can be done so you can still have both worlds? The same thing, you don't want to get any credit card because you want to stay out of debt. God, that's the right thing to do. But some debts are good debt. You can take a credit card that will give you enough money to start that business. You don't want to do it. But if you get fired from your job or you get sick for 3 months and you're not having paycheck coming in, guess what? You go back into that credit card. But now you're using it for things that will not generate extra money. It's for consuming everyday stuff like, your rent, your food, your clothing, your medications. Those things do not give you any profit back. You could have used the same credit card to start something and now have enough money, pay that credit card back, and now everything else you have is profits. Okay? So, as I said, keep your job while building your business. So you're using your employment as training ground, funding source, and networking opportunity. If you quit your job and you start a business, you are going to get frustrated. You are going to be very, very, very disappointed because the bills will be piling up, especially if you don't know when you're going to start really making money. So always remember, use your current employment as a training ground, as a funding source, and a networking opportunity. Okay, so if it's your paycheck, you can take out maybe 10%, 20%, put it into the business. So even if you haven't started making money from your new business, at least you can take some of the money from your employment or your current employment to pay the rent or to pay your employees whilst you're waiting to start actually making money from your own business. Okay. All right. Strategies for success in working for yourself. One, you have to develop a clear vision. I've talked to so many people that tells me they want to start a business. And I asked them, what kind of business do you want to start? I don't know. What do you want to do? I don't really know. I haven't thought about it. What are you good at? Oh, a lot of things. You haven't said anything. We cannot go into business without a clear vision. Okay. How do you build a clear vision? Find a problem that you want to solve. And then find somebody or a community that you can serve. So the two things you need to build a clear vision is what problem are you solving? Who are you serving? So it's solving and serving. Okay. So let's say, for instance, I chose a problem, which is obesity, to help people stay healthy, help people prevent all these chronic diseases, and help people feel good about their body and themselves. So, who am I serving? Anyone that is overweight or obese. So, that's my vision. And that's what I've been doing for the last 12 years. The other thing I do is mental health. That vision came about during pandemic. I realized a lot of people were depressed, were isolated during pandemic, lost family members. Life just changed for them. So I saw that as a problem. So what did I do? I went back to school to learn mental health. And who am I serving? Anyone with any mental health or people that want to just stay well mentally. So that's what I had to do. I had to make a sacrifice. I had to go and do something that there is a need for, and then find that community and serve them. Okay. Next thing, you have to start small and then you scale smart. Begin with a minimum viable product, MVP. Minimum viable product. Sometimes we want to do big things. It's okay, we'll get there, but let's start small. Okay. You have to test before you invest heavily into anything. So I have some products that I'm trying to purchase to sell, right? The people are telling me I have to order like 10,000 pieces, right? So my question back to them is, what if I order 10,000 pieces and it doesn't sell? I've already paid them. I can lose money that way. Why don't we order 50 or 100? Let me test the waters. Let me test the market if it's going to sell. If the 100 sell well, I can go to 1,000 and then go to 5,000 and then go to 10,000. I'm not going to start from 10,000. Even though I know the product will sell, I don't know. I cannot predict. So I'm not putting all my money into buying 10,000 of the same products. Okay. So always start small and then you scale smart. Okay. Whilst you're doing that, talk to people, find people in that industry, do more research, read about it, find people that have done it before and are successful, and say, okay, can you help me? Find a mentor in that field. It doesn't have to be your brother or your sister, it doesn't have to be a family member, because sometimes our own family members don't want to help us, they don't want to show us the rope because we are afraid of competition. I get it, I understand. There are a lot of people out there, even if you have to pay for somebody to mentor you, so you know you're doing things the right way, so you know we're not making mistake and losing money. I think it'll be worth it instead of trying to figure it out all by yourself. Okay. So depending on what area you want to go to, the goal is you want to build multiple streams of income. Okay. So through services, through products, there's a lot of digital offerings. So it takes money to make money. When you put money down without touching it for 10 years, the money sits there for 10 years. It doesn't grow. But you can take a little bit of that money, put it into something. 2, 3, 5 years from now, that money is going to grow. So money doesn't grow by sitting down. If you want money to grow for you, you have to put it to work. Okay. You need to have financial discipline. You have to budget. If you're used to going out to eat 3, 4 times a week, now we're starting a business. We may have to cut out eating out completely. For if you think about the money going into eating out, that's almost money that could pay the electricity bill and water bill in your new little office. It could be, door dashing. Every dinner, you're buying stuff outside. That's money that you can use into growing your business. So you have to budget strictly. You have to budget. That's the time where you may skip your vacation for that year. I mean, when I started business, I wasn't taking vacation. I wasn't traveling because I need every penny in the account for the business. Okay. You need to separate your business from personal finances. If you know you need $5,000 for your business, open a business account, put that 5,000 in there. So everything you purchase for the business is coming from the business account. Instead of taking money from your personal account, you go to the store, you need to buy something for the business and you're using personal credit card. That's a no-no. Get a business credit card, get a business banking checking and savings account, so you can separate your business from personal finances. You need to start building emergency funds, not just only for your personal, but also for your business, because things happen. I gave money to somebody in Ghana recently to start fish business. So she was going to go to a custom boat, buy dry fish or smoked fish and sell, right? She got everything, got back to Accra. That was like Friday. By Monday, all the fish was spoiled, worms everywhere. So what happened? You lose money. But if you have some emergency funding for the business, you can take some of the money, go get more fish and sell. But because we don't have the emergency money, when that fish went bad, she threw everything away. Now she's sitting home with no business or no job. Okay. So whilst we're building our business, we also have to remember we need money for rainy days, because it's not every day that things will go the way we want to go. Okay. Next thing, we have to invest in knowledge and skills. Knowledge, if you're going into any kind of business, you need to learn the skills of that business. You cannot say, I want to go into photography and you don't even know how to take pictures. Oh, I'm going to get a camera because I can afford a camera. That doesn't make you a good photographer. Go to school, learn how to take pictures, learn the skills of picture taking before you go into it. You have to do a lot of marketing. You have to do a lot of sales. Nobody will do that for you. You can hire people to do it, but you have to also do your part. Carry your business cards wherever you go. Make sure you start being among people. If you're that introverted person, you don't like talking, then you cannot be a business owner, because you need to go to meetings, you need to network, we need to go to events, you need to create leadership skills. If not, your business is just going to be there and nobody will see the business. I used to be very quiet, but over the years, I have to learn how to talk. I had to learn how to meet people. I had to learn how to introduce myself to people when I go to program. Hey, it's me. This is what I do. What do you do? When I'm in the plane, whoever is sitting next to me, make sure I carry conversation. Ask them what they do for a living, where they live. And then with time you realize we have something in common, we're sharing information. Okay. You have to create systems, not just the effort. Because you may have all the efforts you need to start the business, to grow the business. But if you don't have the right systems in place, it can hurt the business. And I have to learn that over the years of being a business owner. I'm not always going to be there to run the business. So, what happens if I'm no more in the business, but I still want the business to run? I found that out when I decided to franchise the weight loss clinic. I realized for somebody to buy the franchise, I need to have systems in place. So when they are running the same transformations center for weight loss, is the same in every location. Okay. That's something that I didn't have the time to do. I didn't have the skills for it. So I had to suss it out, hire somebody who knows how to do that. Automate your processes. You have to have automated processes that everything would take off itself if you're not there. You have to delegate tasks. You can do it all, because I see a lot of people run their solo business and then something happened, they have an emergency, they have to travel. Who is going to run the business for you? Or you get sick, you have surgery, because things happen. Then what happened? You had to close the shop. And that's one thing that I prayed to God that would never happen, where I had to close down the shop because I couldn't go to work, because it had happened to me in the past. About 10 years ago, when my husband wasn't well, there are times where I had to close down the clinic for weeks, right? So I learned from that. How do you put systems in place? So if you are not around, the business will still run. Because if not, you're going to lose customers. Let's say you're a hairdresser and you're the only one in the shop doing hair. If you're out for 2 weeks because you had surgery or you had a family emergency and people need their hair done, they'll find somebody else. And who knows, whoever they find may give them a cheaper price or may even do a better job. Then you've lost these customers forever. After 2, 4 weeks, you come back. You realize now you have to build this clientele again. So always make sure you have a backup plan that if you are not there, you have systems in place that will keep the business running. You need to build repeatable workflow. We don't want to do something today and then tomorrow we're doing it some other way. The next week you hire somebody, we're doing it differently. Next month somebody else can, we're doing it differently. It brings so much confusion and it breaks the business down. So you have to have a workflow that's consistent, that repeats itself. Any day of the week is the same thing. Okay. All right. What else? Strong work ethics and consistency. You have to show up. You can't say, oh, it's my own business, so I can go to work whenever I want to, or I can take off whenever I want to. No, it takes time. You have to put work into it. You have to be consistent. Yes, nobody's going to fire you, but you're going to fire yourself if you are not consistent and you are not disciplined in what you're doing. So, no matter what business you're doing, you need to build strong work ethics and you need to be consistent. It takes time. It's not an overnight thing. So whatever you're doing, don't assume, oh, within 6 months, I'm going to be here. Yes, it's good to have a plan. It's good to have a vision. It's good to have some expectation. But if it doesn't go the way we expect it to go, it is okay. It's just some of the things happens later than sooner. Okay. You have to build a network. You cannot do this by yourself. You need mentors, you need business partners, you need professional communities that will help you, no matter how small the business is. You need to build a network. That has been my strongest thing right now, building a network. Wherever I go, I make sure I connect with people. You have to be able to embrace failure as feedback instead of looking at it as, oh, disappointed. Okay, I thought this was going to go well, but it didn't go well. It's okay. Look at it as a feedback. What can I do better? Every mistake is data, is information to help you do better tomorrow. So it can help you to adjust. It can help you to think through it again and do a different way. But don't quit. Don't quit, because the quitting is only going to make you set back and be like, okay, I don't want to do this again. I tried it before, it didn't work for me. So maybe business is not my thing. That's not true. Everyone can do some business. You just need to be consistent and get help if you need it. Okay. So I've talked enough. We only have maybe what, 17, 18 minutes. So I'm going to stop here. I'm going to open the floor for people to ask questions. And then maybe if we don't finish all the questions now, the next meeting, we can continue.
This Prince, brother Prince from
Hi,
Connecticut.
how are you?
Good and yourself, doctor?
I'm well, thank you.
Yeah. Mine might not be. I want to thank you for this important topic and for all those who are here with us. And it's a very important topic, you know. From the religious aspect, we know God created man to work because he himself worked. So he set the classical example for us to work. And we are always, as human beings, we are always in the middle of choosing which path to go. So this is also a choice, working for somebody or also working for yourself. And I like the way you put it that whichever way you go, there could be a success and there could also be failures. So it's not like one is maybe better than the other. And the Greeks always have a proverb. They say that know thyself, you should know yourself. So when you know yourself, then you know if you're able to become an entrepreneur or you're able to work as a good employee for somebody. And I also see that it also depends on the geography or location. Like from where I come from, like Ghana, we work for ourselves more than we work for others because there are far and few opportunities to work for somebody. So most of the petty traders, and in fact, Ghana has the highest women entrepreneurs in the world. We do, and they sustain the informal sector. But as you say, in America too, we work for others more than we work for ourselves. We have the Microsoft, we can employ millions of people, or Apple, they employ millions of people. So, but also working for yourself, it also depends. I think you have to be more disciplined in working for yourself because you might have the notion, oh, it's my work. I can wake up at 8 a.m., 9 a.m. and open my shop. By the time you realize you're on TikTok and you lose you still have bills to pay. But working for others to, hey, you even wake up before the alarm clock, you want to clock in and get the extra, all this, the overtime and all. So discipline counts. I think discipline is the number one. We have to be disciplined and know what we want, as you said. So I would like to encourage each other before you do anything, as Jesus said, which person who want to build a house will not sit down and know that he needs this amount of maybe blocks or material to finish it, or going to war. So we make the mistake. Some people have become entrepreneurs, and within 6 months, they're out of business and they are filing for a bankruptcy. So I would like to say thank you for this, and I've learned a lot, and it's going to guide me. For now, I'm working for somebody. I love what I'm doing, but the ultimate is to gather all the experience from the person that I'm working with to do something for myself in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's a good contribution. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Miss Anita, have your hand up.
Hello, good afternoon, Dr. Eugenia. Thank you for a very insightful session. You shared, you pretty much shared all the things that you did not know back, many years ago, and you are sharing your experience with us to definitely encourage and to, mentor us. And, I definitely appreciate your leadership here. I have a question for you. By sharing all the things that you are sharing with us and did not know in the past, what has been one of your fears going into business for yourself? What is the one thing that you can share with us that you thought was your fears, but now you have overcome it, becoming an entrepreneur?
Hi, thank you so much, Miss Anita, for that question. Well, in everything, there's always room for fear, right? Even though we will say, oh, the Bible said, I did not give you the spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and a sound mind. It's good. We have that memory verse memorized. It's all good. But one of the things that I've worried about, which to this day I worry about, is what if I'm not able to continue generating the income that I will be able to take care of everything. Okay. So the first time I had to hire somebody, I said, okay, now the money that I was making is the money that I was using to pay my bills. That's how I paid myself. But now when you hire somebody, it's different because some days you go to work and you didn't make enough money. At the end of the month or another week, you don't have to pay yourself anything because you didn't make money. You didn't make money. Nobody will hear about it. But the moment you hire somebody, I've talked to people that say, hey, my employer haven't paid me in 3 months or haven't paid me in 6 months. Okay. I pray that that will never be said of me, where my employee will go out and tell somebody that, oh, Dr. Eugenia haven't paid me in 2 weeks. So that was my biggest fear. Okay. So I told myself, in order for me to be able to pay my employees comfortably, I have to keep working. So so I started, I've always had businesses, since I was a little kid. But when I actually got to a point where I was hiring people, I was still working for somebody. I was working on the drug rehab. So I was still going. And that's when the discipline and the commitment comes in. I will go in on a Saturday and work all day to have that extra income. I was working at a mini clinic at Target as needed. So if I know I don't have enough money to cover every expense in the business, I can just call that, hey, I'm available. Can I pick up a shift? And I'll go pick up a shift. So I have the extra money. So maybe the money that I was supposed to use to pay myself, I'll use it to pay my employees. But I have the extra money to pay for my expenses. So that was one of the strategy that I've always used. And I tell everybody, you have to go hybrid. You cannot quit your job to start a business. You always keep your full-time job, start your business, invest 20 or 25% into that business. Okay. As you build your own business, you can go 50-50. Work for somebody 50%. Do your own thing 50%. Watch your business grow. You go 75% for yourself, 25 for somebody. Keep that 25% as long as you can. That could be your vacation money. That could be your retirement money. That could be your rainy day money. So it's almost like you having a full-time job and a part-time job. Because a lot of us have 2 jobs. Some of us even have 3 jobs and 4 jobs. Okay. So even when you're working for yourself full-time, always find something that you can work as needed. It could be even once a month, but any day where you think you're struggling in your business, you can go pick up extra shifts there. Because business, I've learned over the years, it doesn't flow 12 months. There are seasons where business is slow. There are seasons when business is booming. So when the business is booming, you save as much as you can. So when the business is slow, you have money. The same thing. Always have that side thing, even if it's just for taxes purposes. Because when I was working for somebody 25%, I still do W-2. So I'm still paying taxes. My Social Security, my Medicare is still being taken out. At the end of the month, I'm making almost nothing, but I know that job is always there if I need to, especially those in the healthcare field. If you work in a hospital, just go PRN. Just show up, even if it's once a month. Instead of going to that party that Saturday, go pick up 1 shift a month. So you're still in their books. So that was my biggest fear, not having enough money to continue running the business or paying my staff. So I conquered that by keeping another job until I made enough money to start other businesses. Meaning, if one business that generates enough money, I know I can fall back on the second business or on the third business. Now, as you all know, I have over 10 businesses. Some of them yield income weekly. Some of them yield income once every quarter. Some of them yield income maybe once a year. Some of them are not yielding any income, but they're also playing other roles for me. Okay. So thank you for that question. I hope I answered it to your expectation.
Yes, thank you very much for your insight. I appreciate that.
Thank you. And you're welcome. All right. Any more questions? Or
No.
any suggestions?
I don't have any questions. I just wanted to add to what you said. Everything that you said was right on point. This is scary. In reference to being consistent and having multiple streams of income, owning your own business, building someone else's dream or building your own dream. But it can also be both. I've been very fortunate enough to been in the health and wellness business for a while and finally found a company that I could definitely do both, build my residual income in with a product from another company that I really enjoy. The products, they're plant-based products, which more and more people are getting accustomed to hearing about, things more organic. And you still have to be disciplined depending on how much money you want to make, and even if you utilize somebody else's product. the good thing about it is the products are already in place with my company that I use, but you own the people, you only have to purchase things for your home. Like you were saying, if you had a product and you would buy maybe 50 or 5,000 products, the nice thing about what I do is I just purchase for myself and the system is already in place where a person can have their own website and the training is there, all the things are in place, but you're still operating your own business because you do have all the write-offs and everything of a home-based business by sharing because it's a word of mouth company and the only way you're going to get involved in it is if somebody shares it with you. And so I also do real estate as well. I have property. That's a whole nother ball game. But with that, once it's established and the properties are in place, you have your income coming in from your rental, from your tenant. So, but that's a whole different business, and depending on what the person wants to do, have hands on every day or build every day, they have to decide what they want. What I've found is that what I do is because everybody has to do certain things, like brush their teeth, wash their clothes, and wash their body. By plugging into a company that does that on a safety, on a more natural aspect, if I just share that and show them how to shop smarter, then not only do I help people in their health, but I also build a residual income and I can show them how to do that as well. So it's still a business. It's just not a brick and mortar business where I have to keep on, building or franchise. And having a franchise is fabulous. That you find people that glean to your concept and want to duplicate it. That is a wonderful thing. But that's kind of basically what I'm doing too, is finding people that really see the advantages of taking a system that's already in place, like a franchise, and showing them how they can share it with others. The only difference is mine doesn't require a lot of overhead or even a lot of outlet and funds. And sometimes people can glean to that because on average, everybody can be an entrepreneur, but most people have to kind of crawl before they walk. I know I've been doing it for a while and there's stages to being an entrepreneur. And like you said, you can't quit your job right away. You need some income coming in, what have you. I've always had different jobs. But the key to entrepreneurship is finding a lane that fits you and that you really love. And I think more than anything, line puts you in alignment where God wants you to be. Because if you're not in alignment to where God wants you to be, no matter whether you want it or not, it doesn't normally work out. That's all I have.
Wow, thank you so much. That was good addition to this discussion. Yeah, there are a lot of things you can do, and with what she's saying, I mean, even if you just buy those products for your own personal use, you're still making some profit. So it's all about making profit and doing things that you enjoy doing. So just be careful what you go into so you don't make mistakes along the way. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing that information. Okay. We can take one more question, then we'll be done. Or contribution. Okay. I think somebody had a question or contribution in the chat room. It says, I'm currently reading a book about matter of networking and how important it is in being successful, whether in business or in the workplace. How do you balance actively pursuing mutually beneficial relationships versus coming off as a moocher, especially when it comes to cold connecting? I don't know if I really understand the question, but it's about balancing mutually beneficial relationship versus coming off as a, I don't know if you meant like a mentor, especially when it comes to cold connecting. Well, let me try and see if I can make sense out of it. So beneficial relations, mutual beneficial. So, I'm at a point in my financial or my entrepreneurship stage where I really don't think it's a competition, or if I show you something, then you're going to do better than me. I'm more in a place of what can I give back? How can I share my knowledge with other people so they don't make the same mistakes that I'm made in the past? So for instance, the reason why I went to franchise the weight loss business is I don't want people to make the same mistakes I made over the last 12 years. Like we have one franchisee right now and we are learning a lot of things. So even for me, it's still a learning process. So when people come to you for you to show them or mentor them, don't always think, oh, what am I getting out of it? Or what am I going to get from what you're doing, or what are you bringing to the table? Trust me, we are all learning from each other. So you may have a knowledge to do the specific business, but by connecting with somebody else and teaching them, you're also learning something from them. So if you know something and you have to share with other people, please, it's not everything that you have to charge for. I mean, there are things that you demand some compensation or some stipend for. But if you have to share the basic knowledge on how you did it, how you got to where you are now, I don't think it's really necessary to say, oh, I'm charging for it. If that's your business, because I have a business entrepreneurship, business that I do where I help people start, grow, and sustain their business. That's a business that I have. If you come for consultation, you pay for it. But me sharing, okay, this is how I registered the business. This is who I'm using for this. This is how I'm doing this. I'm not going to charge for it. So just be careful how you charge people for everything. So people come to you for some advice. To me, I look at it as a privilege. I take joy in helping other people so they can also start and grow their business. Because 2-3 years from now, I can stay back and say, oh, wow, look at him, look at her. I remember when they started this business. Now they are booming. I'm happy for you versus I'm jealous that you're doing well. So yeah, I think having that network, you also have to be careful. It's not everyone that's happy to show you. So once you see or you feel that friction, or people are not picking your calls, they are not responding to your messages, find somebody else. You don't need to keep pushing into somebody who is not willing to teach you, because if you're not careful, they'll give you the wrong information. You make more mistakes, and then they'll be like, you know what, I told you, I didn't ask you to go and do it that way. So find people that will give you the right information. Even if that means you pay them for it, it's worth it. Okay. And I hope that answered your questions. Any other question? Okay. So our time is up. So we're going to end. Few mistakes that we need to avoid. Don't quit your job too early. Lack of planning, poor financial management, trying to do everything alone. We don't want to do that. Get help and don't ignore marketing. Because marketing is very, very important in your business growth. So this is the end of our podcast for today. If you have any more questions, you know how to reach out to us. You can email us. You can go to our website. You can text us. If Sabina can put up the information again. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining, and hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Eugenia.
Thank you. God bless you.
This was awesome. God bless you.
Bye.
Bye.